Viewers and subscribers, welcome back to Beating the Press podcast. This evening's podcast, we're going to be looking at the matches which took place today, Boxing Day, some big results taking place over there in the EPL, and we've been served up a feast of football. Now, joining me this evening to review those matches and to talk some EPL football, we have returning to the podcast, Christoph.
Good to be back, viewers.
Yes, indeed, Christoph. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year when it comes.
Same to you.
Indeed, viewers and subscribers, indeed hope you had a good Christmas celebration. But the football at this time of the year is endless. It's coming thick and fast. And every day from now, leading up into the new year, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day,
Mhm.
and even the days surrounding New Year's, we will be served up more football, more football than we dream of, Christoph. How is this taking its toll on the players, Christoph? Or the EPL is used to this sort of physical games coming thick and fast at this period of the year?
Um, you could say that it's something that happens every year, but that doesn't mean that the players get used to it because we do tend to see a lot of injuries getting picked up around this time of the season, and it could affect players, later down in the season, that final run of games, you have key players missing or key players just coming back from injury. And it could affect, some people's title challenges, relegation battles, and so on.
So it's this period then, Christoph, where big managers earn their money. This is the period where managers still get the result, but also keep their players fit, you're saying?
You could call it that, but also it's also this time of season where squad depth probably counts more than just being a good manager. Because if you have the squad depth to rotate in and out players, it doesn't matter how good of a manager you are, because you can keep those players fresh.
Indeed, indeed. So going forward, then we should be anticipating and expecting some sort of rotations, especially in those teams or those squads, which, as you say, has quality in depth and keeping the players fresh for the long haul, as opposed to overworking them and possibly leading to injury. And of course, we saw a big name player, Saka Christoph, going down with a massive injury. What, 2 game weeks back? And we're hearing he'll be out for a couple of weeks. Well,
Right. Saka is expected to probably be out until February. So, and
uh,
there's a lot of games to be played in January. So,
that's it.
I mean, it
Champions
could.
League return as well.
I mean, it's very bad for Arsenal that you're losing your star player, most assists, most goals. But on the flip side, could be a blessing in disguise. Player getting so much needed rest. But I think Arsenal would much have preferred to have kept him fit versus him having to go out.
Right. And of course, if he was fit, then the manager could choose or decide when to rest him, give him a breather, take him off early in a game. Maybe a game is already locked up and sealed, and you could take him off. But not having him at your disposal is a big blow to the Arsenal quest. But such are these things, such is life. And there were a number of games on today, Christoph, and it served us up some very exciting matches. Let's start to turn our attention firstly, Christoph, over there at Stamford Bridge, where we had a London derby, you could say, a small London derby. One could characterize that game. Fulham versus Chelsea. Of course, Chelsea was playing this game at home, went ahead in that game, and then Fulham stormed back to win that game 2 goals to 1. Is this the Chelsea we should be expecting now, Christoph? In the last podcast, you did mention it's possible that Chelsea have is now leveling off.
I mean, it's possible, but we can't really tell after 2 games exactly. But I would say this is a match where Chelsea kind of snatched defeat from the jaws of victory, so to speak, because this was a game that should have been in the bag, and to lose to a Fulham team who you would say is less quality than them, but so far this season. Fulham, in my opinion, has been probably performing way better than teams would have expected. I guess the recruitment that they've done, the Smith Rowe, the Iwobes, those players that they've captured over the years, and even this transfer window start playing dividends for them.
Definitely. And to me, one of the standout players for that Fulham team, Christoph, is the American left back, Robinson. Uh, he seemed to be coming up with the goods, both on the defensive end as well on the offensive side. And what was fascinating for me in this game, Christoph, is that Marco Silva changed up his tactics, changed up his formation to counter this Chelsea team. He went with three at the back and have Robinson playing an attacking role on that left-hand side, and the Chelsea team could not handle him, in all honesty. So the tactical tweak of Marco Silva seemed to have done the trick versus this Chelsea team, which have been playing well of late. Granted, in their previous game, they were held by Everton, but definitely Marco Silva surprised many with his tactics, and I thought Chelsea could not cope all game, and eventually it was Fulham who came up with two, you could say, late goals and ran out winners. Very interesting game for sure, and this would have dented the Chelsea hopes, even though their manager claimed they were never in a title race, Christoph. But I was not buying that. I
Um,
think that was just him playing mind games.
I think it's more of managing the expectations versus, going out and say, hey, we're out to win the title race when nobody expected it, or it was probably not a requirement at the beginning of the season. At some point along the way, it probably became the new goal for the season, and having dropped points back to back like that. It's rather disappointing. But I think it's them managing the expectations, not only of the board, but the fans as well, because you don't want the fans putting unnecessary pressure on the players and on the manager who is in his first term. Not even, well, it's been more than 6 months, I think. But not even a year as yet in charge of the club. So it's more of a rebuilding time versus
Try to
we're going
push
out
time.
right. I mean, granted, you might argue that they spend 2 billion on players, but also, it's not necessarily 2 billion well spent.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. Definitely, return on investment is key in this game we call football of late. It's not only what you see on the field of play, but it's what's taking place in the balance sheet as well. So, but definitely fascinating game, disappointing result for the Chelsea fans. Liverpool taking full advantage of that slip up as well over there at Anfield, and Chelsea definitely will have to wheel and come again going forward. But possible they are hitting a little dip, so to speak. Last two games they've dropped points against teams they would have been expected to beat, in all honesty. At home to Fulham, you were expecting a Chelsea win, and Everton is one of the league's poorer teams in terms of results. One of the league fewest scorers in terms of goals scored. However, they have been playing well defensively, and Chelsea was unable to break through in that game. This game, Fulham, they did get that early goal through that man again, Christoph Cole Palmer. We have to mention Cole Palmer in this slide because he is possibly outperforming expectation. He did well last season and he is on track to repeat that feat. What can we say about this man? It seems as if Chelsea will go as far as Cole Palmer brings them,
That is definitely the case, and Chelsea have been managing Cole Palmer well and using him sparingly outside of the league, because I don't think we've seen him in the Conference League so far this
right?
season, and we're not seeing him in any knockout competition so far. So Chelsea are trying to make sure that he stays fit, because it seems to be on their mind that they won't be winning much in the league without Cole Palmer. Even if they do
That's
well in other competitions, it seems like Cole Palmer is the key to the league for
Yeah,
them.
definitely. If you can stop Cole Palmer, then I think you stop Chelsea. And if he gets off, then definitely it's lights out for you if you're playing against Chelsea. So to me, Cole Palmer is that talisman, and he will bring this Chelsea team as far as he goes, so to speak. But very interesting result there. But let's shift our attention, Christoph. Chelsea lost, but Liverpool won. Liverpool coming from behind and taking full advantage of the Chelsea slip up. Chelsea was the closest team to Liverpool going into this Boxing Day fixture. Liverpool have now stretched that lead, I believe, now to 7 points, if memory serves me correctly, with a game in hand. So that 7 point could potentially be a 10-point lead, but you can't count your chicken before they hatch. But Liverpool coming from behind versus a Leicester team going down 1-0, but then rallying and running away 3-1 winners. Talk to us, Christoph. What can we say about that game? What did we see from this Liverpool team? And what are the expectations for Leicester going forward?
I don't know what the expectations for Leicester going forward, because more and more every week it seems that they will be in that relegation fight come the end of the season and, looking to be potentially relegated. Aside from probably the first win that Ruud van Nistelrooy had, I think it's been all losses since then. Um, very
Well, they did
probably
draw a game. They did draw. He got a win, drew one, and then it's been
it's been
losses.
losses. I
Right.
mean,
He lost to Newcastle. And then he lost to Wolves, I believe, in that encounter, and now they are losing to Liverpool. So that's three losses on the bones under Van Nistelrooy.
you have to wonder, if he's thinking maybe he should have stayed at PSV where he was doing a good job. He was the head coach.
Well, I
Um,
mean, he did get that call to Man U, and when Manchester United come knocking, it's hard to say no. But since then, it's been a
uh,
downhill spiral.
when Manu comes knocking, fine, but Manu comes knocking for you to be a assistant coach, not to be a head coach. You were the head coach at PSV team, and no matter how you look at it, it's a step down because
Well,
he then
possibly,
became.
possibly he's thinking that the English league is a step up from the Dutch league. I mean, even if you're managing one of the teams at the foot of the table. I mean, it's probably, and of course, Van Nistelrooy played in the EPL, so he would have known the sort of quality that the league has to offer. So, plus he's a young coach, so this is a learning experience, something to put on his CV for the next job, so to speak. So, I mean, having now managed Manchester United for a couple of games, and he is now the head manager, the head coach of Leicester for the foreseeable future, it's definitely something to add to your CV for the potential to get another job in the EPL. But I mean, going into this game, Christoph, Leicester was not expected to win. Going ahead to this Liverpool team came as a surprise to many. But Liverpool, being the best team in England and the best team in Europe based on the statistics, it's no surprise that Liverpool ran out winners and comfortable winners in the end, but an early wake-up call when they went behind. But again, Christoph, that defense, I've spoken of it. Since the injury to Kanate, that Liverpool defense has not been the same. It has not been the rock that it started the season with. Still getting the wins, still getting the results, but definitely the more goals are being conceded. And if you come up against quality teams, those quality teams will let you pay if your defense keep leaking goals. What says you?
Um, maybe not. At the moment, the only team that seems to be attacking, or the only teams that seem to be have quality finishing going on for them really is Liverpool at the moment. So I'm not sure that there are any teams in the EPL at the moment that will make Liverpool pay for that leaky defense at the moment. Except probably Chelsea, but as we can see, Chelsea also has a very leaky defense. So, I don't know. It's Chelsea's inability to defend that kind of lost them that game against Fulham. Yeah, the changes by Silva they did seem to struggle against it, but were they able to properly defend? You
Yeah,
know,
plus the subs. I thought the subs made a big impact on that game when Silva brought on his subs as opposed to the subs that Chelsea brought on. So to me, that was probably the difference in the game. The substitutions, the timing
right.
of the subs, and the impact the actual players had on the game because it was a sub getting the winner, the Brazilian Muniz getting the winner for Fulham. And it was a shrewd move by Silva bringing on the likes of Traore, for example, to run at these tired Chelsea legs. I thought that was a master stroke by Silva, and he had it planned down to the T. It's almost as if you're running a quarter mile, Christoph, and you squeeze the NOS at the right time where you're accelerating towards the finish. I thought that was the strategy that Silva implemented. They finished the game, the stronger team, and it cost Chelsea in the end. And such are these things. But definitely, big win for Liverpool. They needed that win. They needed to extend their lead at the top of the table. Once the closest team behind them slipped up, they needed to have taken advantage and give themselves that extra layer of cushion. Just in case down the line you drop a point here or there, then at least you have a cushion between you and the nearest opponent. But Liverpool won. But over there, Christoph, Wolves biting Manchester United twice. And this is another defeat for United at the hands of Wolves. The new coach bounce is real for Wolves, Christoph. We are seeing that from this Wolves team. Talk to us about that game. United going down 2 goals to nil. Bruno Fernandes being sent off as well. Talk to us.
I mean, some of it kind of goes back to what I said. If I was Amarin, I would be looking to cash in on Bruno Fernandes because um as the captain of the team, there are certain things that you cannot do. And you cannot be the first player to get sent off in a game. And especially when your team are not performing well overall, you need to be the best player on the pitch every game. You need to be contributing as the captain, as somebody who is not a goalkeeper or a center back or something. Somebody who is an attacking player who score goals and creates goals. Bruno Fernandes should be the best player on the pitch for Man United every single game regardless of how he's feeling. So personally, I would definitely cash in on that player. When his stock is high, get as much as you can right now and use that money to rebuild the squad. That is what Man United need to do. As for
That's a
how
definitely an interesting point. Just to chime in at that on that point, Christoph, I somewhat agree with you, to be honest. For me personally, he is not he the characteristics he display for me are not the characteristics I would want to see from my captain, to be honest with you. So yes, he is a good player, but in terms of those leadership characteristics, these are not the characteristics I would want my club captain to have, in all
right
honesty. And this is just another example of the petulance, I would call it, of Bruno Fernandes. It's something which has been happening all season, all year, where he's constantly
last
confronting the
last two seasons,
officials,
last two
right?
seasons, it's been going on. He's been getting reckless red cards, what I would say, needless red cards. Last two seasons, the red cards that he's received have been unnecessary and have been as a result of his poor temperament.
Definitely, that's the word. His temperament. You hit the nail on the head right there. Temperament is the word. Just does not have the temperament that a captain should have, where a captain should remain cool under pressure and lead by example. I don't see that from a Bruno Fernandes. So you may very well be right, Christoph. I'm not sure if Bruno Fernandes is the player you want to be building your team around. As you say, it might be better for United and their future if they cash in now and build around players of the character that you want in that club. Players that can be an example to the youngsters coming up and who can display the sort of characteristics that you as a manager want from your captain, as well as you as the manager you may want to select your own captain as well. Bruno has been carrying the armband, I would say, under a number of coaches now. I think he was given the armband under Solskjaer, and since then he retained it under
I don't think it was
uh
on Solskjaer. I don't
it
think
wasn't
so.
Solskjaer.
I don't think so. I'm not sure, but I don't think it was Solskjaer. Under
Well,
Solskjaer,
it's
it
it's
was
either
Maguire.
Solskjaer or Ragnick. Remember, after Solskjaer, there was Ragnick,
Yeah, I think it was
and
probably
then after
Ralph
Ragnick, Ten
Ragnick.
Hag. So I'm not sure, but definitely, he wasn't Amarin's selection. He was the captain before Amarin's arrival, and I'm sure Amarin doesn't want to necessarily upset the apple cart so early in his tenure. But definitely going forward, I can definitely see Amarin choosing a captain of his own who should bring forward the characteristics he would want to see in players. But that being said about United, Christoph, credit has to be given to this Wolves team. I don't want us to spend all our time bemoaning the Manchester United situation. Wolves are playing some solid football, I must say, and they got a big result, a result that they needed, a result that elevated them from the foot of the table. So credit to this Wolves team. They backed up their win at Leicester with a win, taking a big scalp in the form of United. What did you see from this Wolves team, Christoph?
I think it was a very good display from Wolves. You can see that they're playing with a confidence that they haven't had so far this season. Um, whether it be that new coach bounce or they're carrying the confidence from getting those wins the last few games since the new manager has come in.
Well,
Um,
definitely, I would put it down to the new coach Bounce, as well as the reintegration of some quality players. Players like Hee Chang, who got on the score sheet. He scored the second goal, which pretty much sink that Manchester United ship.
I
He
mean the
wasn't
game
seeing much game time under
the
under
game
the
was
previous
already
coach.
technically done, to be honest. It
Well,
was
technically, yes, but he is a quality player, Christoph. When
oh,
you look at
definitely,
his scoring
definitely.
record, he is a player that Wolves have that can put the ball in the back of the net. And he wasn't seeing much game time under O'Neill. Maybe they had some sort of falling out behind the scenes. But
Not
no,
necessarily.
he
I
seemed to
mean,
be
it could be.
reintegrated in that squad and have started off that reintegration process by getting on the score sheet. So this could definitely be the catalyst that Wolves need to kickstart their season.
Yeah, it could be because at the beginning of the season, I did say that Wolves has too much quality to be getting the results that they were getting. I thought they played better than the results that they got. Versus, we talked about like a Newcastle who was
Right.
over was playing beyond what they were getting results beyond what
Underperforming,
they,
but still getting positive
but still getting
results.
results.
It was
It
almost
was
like the opposite of Wolves. Wolves were
right,
performing well, but not getting the results. And
right,
pretty
right.
much those performances cost O'Neill his job. And, it's very unfortunate, but such is the nature of football.
I
And then
mean,
this new manager has come in and pretty much is reaping the rewards from, you could say, the foundations which O'Neill had laid. But patience in football is not something we see these days, Christoph. So
I
unfortunate for
mean,
O'Neill, but uh,
to be fair, based on the performances, they couldn't wait all season to decide whether or not O'Neill can continue. They were not getting the results. Something had to
well,
change.
something had to change indeed, indeed. And they pulled the trigger, and it seemed as if at this point, early in his tenure, Pereira, I believe is the name of the coach, early in his tenure, he is definitely reaping that new coach bounce, which seemed to have rubbed off Amarin.
I mean,
It's back to old Manchester United under Ten Hag in terms
back
of performance as well as the results.
back to the default setting. I mean,
Back to the default settings.
Man United did create a number of chances, but they did not finish the chances that did fall to them. So
So back to Ten Hag United then, in
Wolves
terms
played
of that.
well. Wolves played well, right? But United also created those chances, and if you don't score the chances, it don't matter how well you play.
But
Right?
are you seeing anything positive from what should I say, from a philosophy or formation point of view in terms of Amorim laying a foundation on which to build going forward? The result may not be there now, but are you seeing evidence of that rebuild?
we see evidence of his style of play, but I don't know if it's the players or if it's the style of play that is the
Mm.
problem for United at the moment.
Well,
But
personally, I
if
think
we
it's the players
if
because
we go
other
back to Ten
managers
Hag,
had
it
similar
must be the
issues
players.
with these same players.
Uh, Well, to be fair,
Different formation, but same players.
since the
So to me,
retirement
it,
of
it, it must be the players.
Sir Alex Ferguson, every manager has come in and complained about the players. So
Right. So that's what I'm saying. It has to be the players. I mean, so many top managers you could say uh can't be getting the same sort of recycling performance or recycled performance. So it's either the players and or the management in terms of the upper management, I would say. So
um,
something has to change, in
I
terms
I
of
I think it's upper management that is definitely at fault here. They probably I think what needs to happen at United for them to get back to what was before Sir
Ah, well,
Alex's.
let's not even.
No, no, they won't get to that level, but
Yeah,
to get back into
to
top
get back
four,
into contention, I would
get
say.
back into
Get back
content, get your name back into contention.
right.
There needs to be a complete rebuild from the top level up. They need to decide what is the philosophy of Manchester United Football Club. Are we going to be playing attacking football? Are we going to play counter-attacking football?
So the club needs
After,
an identity then, Christoph, is what
right.
you're saying. The club
And
needs
that's
an
the
identity.
club
And
needs to
then
figure out what its
bring in
identity is.
managers. If you have to fire a manager, you're bringing managers which fit
Right.
that
So
identity.
you decide, hey, we want to play possession-based attacking football.
Right.
Bring in a manager who plays possession-based attacking football. All right.
That's right.
You need to bring if you need to bring in a sporting director or a director of football or whatever, or somebody to help you with your transfers, because whoever has been doing the transfers for years clearly doesn't know what they're doing, and they are definitely not doing a good job. Right?
Well, I mean, that could be reflective of the fact that Manchester United has lost its identity. So if you're going out to buy players, you're not sure what sort of player you should be shopping for. You're pretty much buying players that the manager wants, as opposed to buying players which fits the philosophy of the club. So
Uh,
as you
uh,
say, if you're gonna go with attacking possession-based football, then
mhm.
obviously you want to buy more technical players, players who can retain possession and create chances,
Right,
as
right, right.
opposed
But
to physical type players.
yeah, but we know that's not what Manchester United has been doing.
Right.
Manchester United has been backing the manager, and so if you go back to say a
Ten
Jose
Hag.
Mourinho or
Right.
a Van Gaal, they all brought in the players that I assume they wanted. I
Right.
mean, we
Which fit
know.
their particular system of play.
Right. But we know we know managers like Jose Mourinho was complaining that the players that he had wasn't good enough, or whatever the thing is. I remember
Yeah,
telling.
pretty much once you bring in a manager, then the manager is going to want his type of player, which is what we're saying. I mean, if you're constantly going to be firing managers, you're constantly going to be in this cycle where a new manager comes in, he doesn't want the players who is there, he goes out, shop for his players. A couple of years later, he gets fired, and then wash, rinse, repeat.
Right, and that is what has been happening since Sir
That's
Alex
what has been
Ferguson's
happening.
retirement.
So,
So until they fix that, what is the identity of the club? I don't think United will be getting back. Right now, I don't think they'll be getting back to the level that they were previously. They won't have their name in the ring, so to speak, because all they do is just they overspend on players who come in and underperform, and then they
right.
cannot offload these players.
Yeah,
I
because these players are on big wages. Why would I, as a Casemiro, on £300,000 plus per week, give that up?
I
I,
remember I
that
remember
doesn't make
telling
sense. It doesn't
I
make
remember
logical sense to
telling
the player.
I remember telling a United fan that Man United should probably cash in on Pogba before his contract runs out.
Mm,
Right? Instead, Man United gave Pogba a new contract. Pogba is either always injured, underperforming, or getting red carded. Then what does Pogba do? Run down the contract and leaves and a free again, returns to Juventus.
right,
Cash in on these players that are underperforming but still have good stock.
right,
And
right,
don't
for
wait
sure.
on them to Juventus was always interested in re-signing Pogba. Why was he not sold?
Mm.
You allow a player who you bought for 100 million and you are spending 350,000 pounds a week to go to leave for free, underperforming or not, and not just leave for free, but this player's contract had run down before, and you renewed the contract, and then you made the mistake of not selling him.
Problems, Christoph. We need a whole podcast dedicated to the problems of Manchester United. But we move over to the next Manchester club, Christoph. Man City being held to a draw by Everton. Still cannot get out of the slump that they are in, Christoph. Still cannot get a win. Haaland missing a penalty in that one, or his penalty being saved by Pickford. Talk to us about that game. What more can we say about Man City? Is it time for Pep to leave, Christoph? Pep out?
Let me just say it like this: if it was any other manager, they'd probably be fired at this point.
Mm.
Any other
Well, I
manager, they
mean,
would have
Pep
been fired.
does have a big reputation, you know.
No, that's what I'm saying. He has a very good reputation, but any
Credit
other
in the
manager,
bank, so to speak. Lots of
there,
credit
there,
should be in the
there,
bank.
right now in football, there is no other manager who would still have their job after a run like this. No
Mm.
manager, not Jose Mourinho, not Carlo Ancelotti, Not Vincent Company, not Mikel Arteta, not not Ten Hag, not Ten Hag. Nobody would still have their job after this. But like we said, Pep Guardiola does have credit in the bank. Um, and that might be what City is banking on. Maybe they're banking on the transfer market. In January they'll go in, they'll buy some players. Pep will shuffle around and get back to winning ways. I don't know. Um, However, to me, watching the game, it look City players looked very desperate.
Yeah,
And
it's a wretched run of farm. And to be honest with you, Christoph, City is just not creating enough chances. It's as simple as that. I watch Liverpool play Leicester and I watch City playing against Everton. Similar mold. Everton playing a low block, Leicester playing a low block. But Liverpool was constantly testing that defense, constantly creating chances, openings, forcing corners, forcing desperate tackles, drawing fouls, getting free kicks. They were constantly at it, penetrating that Everton backline. That is not what I mean, that Leicester backline. That's not what I saw from Man City. Man City was lethargic, very few touches in the penalty area. It's just not the Man City we are used to. We are used to a Man City which is creating chances and
it's that
really forcing defense to really
lack of
defend.
confidence, lack of confidence. For
Ah,
me, I don't know if you remember me saying it, is that City, in my opinion, does not outplay teams, right?
right,
In my opinion, what they do is they overload teams and force them into errors. They're not
right.
outplaying anybody, in my opinion. They cannot. They're having trouble overloading teams. Nobody is panicking that they're playing against Manchester City because everybody
So that
sees
fear
they're on
factor has been lost then, Christoph.
the fear factor is what was giving them though give it's what caused teams to create defensive errors that lead to goal for City. The fear factor is gone. Everybody knows that they are beatable. Everybody knows
Right?
that they are very susceptible on the counter attack. So everybody will sit and wait for that opportunity to counter and hit them on the break. They know that as long as they score their goals, Man City has no way of kind of defending them without Rodri. The fear factor is gone. The players are lacking in confidence. They look lethargic. The chances that they do create are poor quality chances. They're
Yeah,
not
that's what
very
I'm
good quality.
saying. The chances are poor quality chances.
And as
Even the
the
goal they scored was like a big deflected type scuffle goal. It wasn't a clean shot on target or Everton was cut to pieces with a pass. It was a shot under pressure which took a fortunate deflection and went into the back of the net. And when compared that to the Everton goal was a sublime strike, technical bringing the ball down and then hitting it early, which caught the keeper completely stranded. And it was a magnificent strike by that winger there from Everton. And brilliant strike. And he leveled that game at 1-1. And from there on, the Everton rear guard could not be breached. And of course, City had the glorious opportunity from the penalty spot, Christoph, but only for Captain Pickford, big England international goalkeeper, to come up with the save. And watching that game, you saw the camera zooming in on his water bottle, Christoph, where he seemed to have printed out the percentage of the PK kickers in terms of where in the goal they tend to place their kicks. And he seemed to have read Haaland perfectly and came up with a big save in that game. And the Haaland slump continues.
well, I mean, Mr. Stay Humble can't seem to find the back of the net at the moment. We saw him get a one goal on Kevin De Bruyne's return from injury, maybe 10 games ago. But since then he's really struggled. I think he did get a goal in the Champions League game that City drew, but since then it's the same. It's that lack of confidence that is defeating them at the moment.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. Forest Christoph, Forest continues to punch above their weight, getting a 1-0 win over Spurs. And they continue to maintain their position high up there. They are now 10 wins throughout the season, Christoph, and they are punching above many of the teams you thought would be in those positions. The Aston Villas, the Man Cities. the Manchester United, even Arsenal, seem not to be able to be keeping up with Forest at this point in time. But just a quick comment on Forest, Christoph, and Spurs, and just what is it that Nuno Santos is doing over there, which is causing Forest to get these results? What's
I,
going on over Forest?
Honestly, I don't know what's going on. They're doing well. They're doing very well. But I also take into account that Spurs is coming into this game on the back of a heavy loss, and I don't know how much that was affecting them coming into this game. Not to take away from Forest, who have been brilliant all season, but we also say Spurs tends to be Spursy. Because regardless of how good Forest have been playing so far this season, this is a game that they should be winning, right? But we know they did come in on the back of a heavy loss to Liverpool, so I don't know how much that affected them in this game.
Indeed, indeed. But quickly, Christoph, any final thoughts? We are quickly running out of time, but any final thoughts as it relates to this uh Boxing Day of football? We still have Arsenal to play versus Ipswich in the in upcoming week, and we also are yet to see Brentford. Brentford takes on Brighton. But so two matches on the trot before the New Year's, but any final thoughts as it relates to these results over the Boxing Day?
I think there are some very interesting results. Um, all of them, every single result has been very interesting in my opinion. Man City, continues to slump. Again, this is a good time for teams to pick up points. This is an opportunity for teams who possibly weren't expecting to beat Man City to be fearless and go ahead and try and get that result. Manchester United continue to slide. That's four losses in the last five for Amarin. Maybe by maybe he'll be out of a job by the new year. We don't know. Um, the Liverpool result is interesting because we've seen a trend with Liverpool where we have seen cracks forming in this team and especially in the defense. And it's
That's right.
a good opportunity for the likes of Arsenal or Chelsea to, when they play Liverpool, believe that they can play Liverpool and get those results because they are not impenetrable. On the flip side, we know Liverpool's attack, well, what I would say is the finishing from Liverpool is very good and has been very good since Klopp took over. Um, what, 6 or 8 years ago. And that has continued now. Uh,
Indeed, indeed.
but
But I mean, time
Arsenal,
is the master,
Arsenal,
Krista, for sure. Time is definitely the master.
Arsenal needs to, Chelsea has slipped. Arsenal needs to capitalize and get themselves back in a position if they intend to still compete for the title.
Well, there you have it, viewers and subscribers, the thoughts of Christoph on this post-Boxing Day breakdown of those results. Thanks again for tuning in to us, viewers and subscribers. Please continue to like, share, and subscribe, and continue to support us going into 2025. But we'll be back to break down some more games and to give you some in-depth analysis. But until next time, this is Rafa signing off.